Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week. My name, if in some reason you're asking me what my name is, I will tell you because I'm that generous. My name is Turbo Tony and we're here with the American Dream. He's got a workman. I want a cowbell. Matty Rhodes is with us.
I was just sort of wondering. I was like, "Where are you going?"
I got into the theme a little bit too much. But
Yeah,
there you go. That's awesome.
a little carried away.
Yeah. So, where's your polka dot trunks? You got them around?
They're in the wash.
Okay, no problem at all. Okay. How are you doing this week, Matt?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Things have simmered down a little bit since the 50th episode.
That's it.
Got some interesting things there to talk about this week. And it is the go-home show for Survivor Series. As always, I will plug Twitter, even though you've got it up on our new graphics for the podcast. You've got it there as well, at Talk WrestlePod. You can follow that for all the latest tweets. And yeah, that's pretty much all the intro all done. I always get a feeling now that the amount of times people don't realise that I've actually messed that up.
Like I felt good actually because like yesterday, last night, it was like 2 a.m. I can't sleep and I'm watching NXT, and the main event for last week was amazing.
Oh, what was that?
Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville for the NXT title.
Ooh, I didn't catch that, man. I feel ashamed that I didn't catch that.
That was but it was like one of those like, oh, that's such a sneaky finish, but I love it, but I hate it. But they've got a rematch at the pay-per-view, which is going to be good.
Yeah. I knew the finish of the match anyway, just from hearing it through the grapevine. But oh my goodness, they're going to put on a show. Oh,
that's our evolution.
Yeah, that's it. Right, on the show this week, as usual, as our usual fans know. Oh yes, first of all, just before we begin, you probably have already heard, I am suffering from a cold this week, so I apologise if I sound bunged up or not as pleasing on your ears as that sounds quite wrong.
Not that audio caramel you're used to.
Yeah, my liquid sexy voice for our fans there this week. Not quite that sort of liquid, but yeah, let's continue before we go down a shameless pay-per-view plot. So yeah, we've got wrestling news, not much of it, but a few interesting tidbits that do revolve around certain liquids, but we'll go around there when we get there. Whey! Fan feedback, fail of the week, and then we've got our Raw review, and then we've got our predictions, because tonight is Survivor Series, so we're going to talk about where we think the matches are going to be going, and it's an interesting card because there's basically no matches on it, but you know there's a few ones that can go either way, and obviously that main event is what a lot of people are talking about. So that's the.
I'm sorry, that main event is what Survivor Series is pretty much banking on.
Yeah, pretty much. They may as well have a 90-minute match because the rest of the cards won't hold up.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that, obviously, when we get there. But let's get into our wrestling news. Like I said, juicy bits of information here. First of all, TNA have found a new home.
Yay!
It was revealed throughout
the week. It can exist.
Yeah, it was revealed throughout the week that that Spike, you know, we knew for a while Spike wasn't going to be doing any more business with TNA. They had expected 2 million viewers per week. TNA had never been able really to give them that number, so they've decided to cut ties and go somewhere else. So, where have TNA gone? This is obviously in America. It's the same place in the UK as it always has been. But
yeah, we're still going to get on Challenge.
Yeah, that's it. But where are they going now? They're going to a channel I haven't heard of, which is Destination America. Now, apparently, a lot of people.
I thought it was Discovery America.
That's. I'm just going for what TNA have said. So I know it's part. I think it's part of the Discovery Network. You know, their chain of channels.
Yeah.
But it's that's in regards to that. But yeah, that's where they're going. They've got a time slot on there. Rumors are that they're not getting paid nearly as much as they were before, but you would expect it. TNA have not done well, and their payment for each episode will reflect that. That's business, you know, it's nothing to do about wrestling.
That's it.
Every show goes along the same thing. They've stated apparently that they will be doing a large reboot of Impact. They're going to be having new logos, new sets, new ring aprons, graphics, the whole shebang. Which the show needs it,
Yeah.
outright. If this is going to be the fresh start that TNA needs, they need to go all out. Otherwise, people just won't take them seriously. It's TNA on another channel. Whereas it can be something that they could use as a new start, for them going forward because they need it.
I tell you, it could be they could play to their advantage.
Yeah, well, hopefully, and it's left to be seen how much their new partners are going to back TNA. I do think that TNA is pretty much a last chance saloon here, to be honest. And I think that this new network will be pretty quick to axe them if they don't get the numbers that they're supposed to.
Yeah.
That being said, there as well, TNA is a much cheaper show to book now than it was before. In terms of coming from Destination America, they don't have to pay as much money as Spike were during their tenure to get them on there. So apparently, as far as I've heard, like I said, I can't really know for sure because I just don't get American channels over here. That's the way it is. I get Irish channels that speak Irish and occasionally some of the English ones.
Or the dub.
Yeah, that's it. I'm still waiting for TNA to show up on TG Caher and have like Irish dubs over it or something. So having like Abyss having an Irish dub, I think that would be fantastic.
I'm just thinking like Gaelic EC3.
Just superimposing a Hurley onto him,
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, but so obviously in America is on Destination America. So it would be interesting to see how long they want to stick along around this. But I heard that Destination America is available to a lot of people. It isn't like one of these really offshoot channels that not a lot of people would have. It's one of those ones that you get like in a package. So you would have it, maybe you don't really know that you have it, but you do have it. So therefore TNA is still available to you.
It's like for us, we've got our Freeview sort of thing over here, and it's just like, oh, you've got like hundreds of channels, but you seem to forget about like what's off in the 70s, 80s sort of branch.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, Challenge is like one of those channels that are just ones that you don't.
Yeah, it's in the depths of the TV guide somewhere.
Just to let our American audience know what kind of channel Challenge is that it's really odd. You wouldn't expect TNA to be on that channel, but they are, and it's basically loads and loads and tons and tons and tons of syndicated old series of game shows that have now gone out of rotation. So, like Wheel of Fortune back in like the early 90s, you see
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, Who Wants to Be, all that stuff, and yet TNA is just randomly on there as well. So
yeah, and then Sunday nights, TNA.
Yeah, just shows up there. So, well, sometimes they run their business like a game show, but let's not get into that. We ragged on TNA enough, but I'm hoping here that here's hoping. It's unlikely to happen, but here's hoping that they use this new reboot. They hit a couple of home runs in their first couple of shows and get some momentum, and stop booking like WWE books. That's the main thing, you don't have to be WWE. In fact, being WWE's put you in the situation you're in now.
Be your own company.
Yeah, be TNA. Be the TNA that AJ Styles at one time was proud to call his own, which is no longer the case. But
yeah, be New Japan.
Yeah. Well, New Japan's a pretty good company, isn't it, over there? So if they could be anywhere close to New Japan, I think TNA would be fine. But nah, they won't ever get that way. So yeah,
they'd never get Jim Ross to commentate.
Ooh. So yeah, TNA. It's a new start for them, and like I said, we ragged on TNA here because they've made it easy for us to do so. They've made some asinine mistakes, like WWE have had, but still TNA have done some. But it's not like we want them to go. It's not like we would take great glee. We would rub our hands. TNA are out of business. We want TNA to be good. I want the Monday Night Wars back. Really, honestly, that would make two companies going on all cylinders firing against each other. That won't happen again, but that's the dream. You know what I mean? Like someone to kick Vince McMahon up the butthole and tell him, okay, you do need to stop booking all this boring crap on your show.
Stop pushing Cena.
Yeah, get new stars. So there's the hope there. But I know it won't happen, but I just don't want companies to go out of business. Um, but we'll see how it goes from there on their new home destination, America. So keep an eye on that. I might even have a look at their first episode on it and see all the new graphics and everything, and maybe report back here on the show and get my
I'm
view on it.
considering giving it a shot.
Yeah. Now, Matt, here we go. We begin. Second part of the news, the more unique style of the news. If you're an individual who has always wanted to see Sunny's breasts, you can do so now. It's available. Really? Yeah. If you pay $100 to her directly on Skype, she will essentially give you time to look at her boobs while you jerk off all over your keyboard. Okay? We're not joking here. You can.
my mind.
Yeah.
My mind is swimming of ideas.
Here's the issue with that, right? There's multiple issues with that. Why would you want to? First of all, when you can access, if you really do want to jerk off, and I don't know why we're talking about this, but
you got to crack a couple of knuckle children over your keyboard.
Yeah, if you really want to do that, Pornhub is a free porn site. Go. There's a lot better looking women on there. Yeah, and they've probably taken roughly the same amount of dick as this woman has. So let's, fair enough.
That's right? What you want.
You get much longer time. You can save yourself $100, and then you're fine. Okay. So, I feel really sad for the people that think, oh, fantastic! I can go see her boobs for $100, and I'll easily part with that money.
It's on the internet somewhere anyway.
Yeah, so there you are.
It's like, did you remember a couple of months ago, or a year ago or something? But it's just like Sunny, just like, you come to this meet and greet, and like you could pay like $5, and you can have a picture with me with my hands on your leg, another 10, and kissing you on the cheek.
Yeah, she was like having ones where if you pay enough money, you could have a picture of her in bed with you or something.
Yeah, that's it. I was just like, what?
Yeah, well, she's gone for one bit further.
I would Skype for boobies.
I would only expect it's only a matter of time before she does show up on a porn video. Along those lines, it's just a matter of time. If she's going this far to try and get some cash, it's not that far away, really.
No.
Going along those lines. She has sunk to a new low. It's pretty pathetic, I have to say. I just don't. I don't understand the type of individual that would think, okay, that's fantastic.
I'm just running through a terrible pun. It's just like, put a nice whole glass of Sunny D.
Yeah. That is a terrible pun, but people have come to know that from this show, so. It won't be the last one before this episode is out, so to speak. But I wasn't ever keen on the woman. I don't know why. I could barely remember any part that she was involved in. Maybe
that's it.
Maybe my balls didn't drop when she was active on television, possibly. But I feel sorry for the people who were. Maybe she was a poster girl for wrestling fans in those areas. Now, yeah, she's on Skype, getting the tits out,
flashing the gash
for money. So there you are. So yeah, anyone thinking, if it even crosses your mind, come on, think about it. Save yourself a lot of money. There's lots of other places to see much more, less driven down, pathetic women. Come on, think with your brain. That's the way you go.
The main brain.
The main brain. That's it.
Question? No question.
Fan feedback. We got a few parts with our fan feedback this week. Got a few comments last week involving the episode. Bazooka Majin enjoyed last week's episode. Puts it to us that maybe Justin was a great heel because of our reaction last week. I would state that the reason why we were annoyed and we're not like, oh, fantastic, he's played a really good card here, is because he's irrelevant. He's too irrelevant to play that shit, in my opinion. So it makes me want to wave Justin Gabriel aside rather than want to see him get his ass kicked. And that's the biggest problem with that. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of just like, I can agree that sort of like, if that's what he was going for, fair play. But it's just like, it sounded more whiny, just like, ugh, just shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than, like, getting heat.
Yeah. But I can understand why they've come to that conclusion. I did get a little bit ragey last week when it comes to Justin Gabriel.
Just a bit.
I still stand by my words. I still think he wouldn't last a week in the in that generation of professional wrestling. I think he's soft, and I stick by my words on that.
And then what happens the week after? You see him just get driven into the ground with a double foot stomp from Baylor.
Yeah,
Yay!
but you know what? That's fine with me. You know, it's
Yeah.
okay. Obi-Wan Jabroni, still, he says he expects Orton to be involved at the pay-per-view, considering it's at St. Louis, and I would agree. I would be quite shocked if he didn't show up at the pay-per-view this weekend. His movies doesn't take that long to film. I mean, you may think 2-3 weeks, that's just way too short for a WWE, endorsed movie. Honestly, that's just not enough time for them to get a movie wrapped up and done. So, yeah, I wouldn't be
And
surprised.
well, to be fair though, it's just like even if it's not done, it's just like it's a WWE film. He's a WWE superstar. They can just go, well, for these next 2 days, you don't have Orton.
Yeah, and then he goes back maybe for
Film
another
some other
week.
shit.
But like I said, it doesn't even matter anyway. You look at how quickly Dean Ambrose was out of the picture and came back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
These movies don't take long because the movies aren't good. There you go. That's the short and brunt of it. I sometimes the WWE
Hey,
movies
this is
will.
a Condemned Wheat remake, and we like the Condemned.
Yeah, we like the original Condemned because it was a movie that we could shut our brain off, and because it was Austin in his first movie, so like the marks in us just enjoyed that, and Vinnie
And
Jones.
Vinny, yeah, I was going to
Vinnie
say,
Jones.
and Vinny Jones.
Yeah, we do like Vinnie Jones. Mean Machine is just an awesome movie, and if any of our American fans hasn't watched Mean Machine, then go and search out Mean Machine with Vinnie Jones. Awesome film. But yeah, I mean, you look at you look at all the crap that they've spurned out, like the Leprechaun Origins, which was an absolute abomination.
Tank that it was.
The Chaperone, Knucklehead. There's just a lot of really shit movies that don't take a lot of time to film because they're shit and because you don't need to spend.
I'm trying to think of a good one.
What of ones that they've done? They've had a few
The
odd
WWE
ones.
film. See, I quite like the first See No Evil.
The Marine 3 with Miz. I went in there thinking this is going to be fucking horrendous, and it wasn't great, but it wasn't awful.
You
So
take that back.
what? The Marine 3? Marine 3, I thought it was okay.
But
then
but then saying that, I kind of hate myself for having to come to admit this.
go on.
I didn't hate 12 Rounds.
Yeah, I think 12 Rounds had something to it, but they have released a lot of shit. There's no way of getting around it. They have released a lot of bad stuff.
But then I think Aidan Gallagher made 12 Rounds.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't take. That's the bottom line of it. I would be extremely shocked if Orton isn't around. It's just a payoff to his
To the
story.
hometown.
Whether he costs the Authority or not, that's in terms of our predictions. Where he'd be involved in there, but does make it all go a bit round circle, doesn't it? And like you said, St. Louis. Yeah, you would put two and two together and think he's going to be there in some capacity or another, especially as a face. If he was a heel, then possibly they would take him off the show because there's no point having him there to get that big crowd home reaction. But the guy's a face now, fully fledged. That beating he got at the hands of the Authority was the final nail in his turn, over to the face side. So yeah, I'm completely all for that, and I do think he will be at that show. Fail of the week. Interesting one for you here, Matt. As you know, Matt, I've been getting into the American sports. Baseball, basketball, that sort of thing. I've been playing tons of NBA on the Xbox. Loving that game. So we all know that Vince McMahon also must be a fan of American football at very least.
Yeah.
And he decided that he was going to make his own football league. Everyone knows where we're going from
Yeah.
here. The XFL he launched. What a gigantic fail that this became the XFL. It rhymes. It's awesome. You can even, if you want to, you can just say it's an extreme fail, XFL. You can make up the words there. So yeah, essentially, basically what Vince McMahon wanted to do, he wanted to offer an alternative to the NFL, a very storied and home dug into the households of American culture. He wants to basically make a WWE inspired football league.
Yeah.
He pumped a lot of cash into the creation of it. He spearheaded it. He shook up how the presentation of the show to be a lot like WWE programming. So you'd have scantily clad cheerleaders. You'd have like they had really corny like little video parts where they're like, oh, this guy has got a camera. He's the lucky guy that gets to videotape the girls getting changed in the locker rooms. And he's like, yeah. It's like, okay, that's kind of creepy, but all the guys, fantastic. So he placed a lot of money on it, got all these teams up, actually got legitimate players to go and play it. The problem was that you're going up against the tradition and legacy of a juggernaut that is the National
The
Football
NFL,
League.
yeah.
You were never going to win, and they didn't.
This is the one thing I love. It's like, I'm sorry, you can go and call like WrestleMania your Super Bowl, but it's never going to be the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's it. And like they had some good ideas here. This is the reason why I bring it up. I mean, the XFL in itself was a gigantic fail. It goes along some of the lists of Vince's fails, like his bodybuilding league that he came up with.
The boxing.
That garbage that came around. That will be on a fail of the week. The whole Dr. Death and all that crap that happened with that boxing tournament. But side projects like the bodybuilding league and possibly the network going forward, you don't know how that would turn out. But yeah, the XFL is one that's kind of quite. It's got, while it's a fail, it actually has some bits from it that some of the ideas for the league are actually pretty good.
It's got some merit, yeah.
Yeah, like they placed it on the off season, so they weren't actually fighting against the NFL. That was a good idea. To actually, you weren't going to beat the NFL, and they didn't anyway. Even in being on the off season, they didn't even survive after one season. But some of the parts that they added in, they added in like a sky cam. So basically, it would be a camera that goes across the top of the field, and it would monitor some of the people, from a different angle. You actually see that same camera style used in some like rugby matches nowadays. Now in the Rugby World Cup that happened recently, they have that. I've heard they've had it now on NFL themselves. So that was something that was put forward. Mid-match interviews was something XFL was like a staple for, and then quickly after that happened, then it started, happening in other sports. Half time they'd have people getting interviewed, their thoughts on the game, where it's going forward and stuff like that. So there was some stuff here in terms of the presentation, at very least, that actually quickly got adapted by other sports.
That's it.
Going forward. So whenever you see that sky cam, just remember that the XFL had
Vince
that.
did it.
Vince did it, yeah. And of course, the sky cam and stuff, it was used before the XFL. I'm not naive, but because it was used so predominantly, and it was one of the calling cards of it, they kind of brought it to the fore. So there's some parts in it. However, regardless of all that, I'm sure that doesn't bring back any of the money that Vince lost in this giant endeavor of his to try and create another company for himself. And it can be posed towards Vince that the only thing that he's ever made, in his life that's been a success is WWE, and that was handed down by his father. So there's a little bit to be said there about maybe Vince's births of these certain things. The bodybuilding league, the XFL, all have failed. The one thing that's stayed alive is the WWE, because it was built on his father's groundstones.
Givings, yeah.
So I'm not saying he's a bad businessman. In fact, he's excellent. That's the reason why he's the number one guy at the moment. But there has to be something to be said that maybe outside of wrestling, he just doesn't really have the acumen and knows what the fans need. Because some of the stuff that flies in wrestling just wouldn't fly in other sports and other media formats.
Hell, some of the stuff he tries to make fly in wrestling doesn't work either.
Yeah. And because next week, as I said there to Matt, next week is our year anniversary show. We're going to go back on some of our more interesting stuff that we talked about over the first year of the show, and there's going to be a lot of stuff in there of just horrendous.
Awards as well.
Awards? No, they're the
greatest.
You know what? To hell with it. We're going to make next week our the award, as you say, the award show for the year. We just go with the year's anniversary. It just makes sense to me. And then we'll go forward from there. So awesome. Oh man, next week's episode is going to be awesome. Woo! Doesn't matter though, because this week is awesome. Also, we've got a Raw review to get through. Plenty of stuff to talk about in terms of Raw this week. Like we said, it was the go home show to Survivor Series. The free pay-per-view, as we know, WWE have been plastering it all over their shows. It's free, it's free. Why haven't you got it? Well, it's not over. It's not available over here.
Because
So
we don't get it.
yeah, that's it. And I know you guys, we've gone through all this before, but it just gets so frustrating. And
I bet
imagine
it's going to be on box office as well.
yeah, I mean, oh man, the adverts have been all over the place. Available on box office for like €25, and it's like, oh my goodness, really, really. But there we are. So yeah, they're back in their back in their own yard, shall we say, the UK tour. I reckon they got off easy on the UK tour. I know they had a few issues, but I think they got off easy, in my opinion. But there we are. The Authority opened the show. They don't really make it hard at this point, really. Yeah, I could probably say that each week, and 73.3% of the time I'd be correct, as we did the numbers for our 50th episode.
Yep.
Cole reminds us that the Authority may not be in charge next week. We can only hope. They'll actually have a different...
you don't have to deal with the Authority coming in to open a show.
They'll have to come up with new ways to open the show. Jesus. That's unheard of. Look,
do they even remember how to open a show?
I don't know. Maybe when the Authority's out, they just send Triple H to just say, okay, I'll open up the show, and then they can continue.
The show's now on.
Yeah. Triple H does what I like to call John Cena's job, where he narrates the situation to the crowd. Oh, this weekend we'll fight, and if we lose, but we won't lose. Blah 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 blah. You'd expect it. He's asking all the fans if you'd like to see the Authority fired. And I thought, if there's ever been a setup for a yes chant, this has to rank up in the top ones, Pretty much walking into a yes chant there, but that's kind of the point. He reminds us that Vince was once an evil, iron fist ruler of the WWE, and that the fans are sheep. There's one thing that has to be said about this. I only thought about it just now. Is that whole thing about the fans are sheep? Live fans can be a little bit like sheep.
Yeah.
The amount of times that they've done the yes chant just because Stephanie's done it, and then she's like burned them because of it, it's quite funny, really. It's just there we are. He says that the last place that the inmates ran the asylum was WCW, and look where that got them. Ooh. Thing is, I thought about this, right? And well, who was the main inmate that was running the show at certain points of that? It was his friend Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash was booking at some points in WCW, and his whole stamp was put all over it. He was the one who first beat Goldberg. He was the one who was involved in tons of animosity backstage, stating he was booking himself. And, a lot of people would state that it's quite ironic, because you look at how Triple H and Shawn Michaels were looked at back in those days as meddling in the creative and sometimes pushing other people out of the way, backstage so they can have their space. And Kevin Nash did exactly the same thing, just over the road, so to speak, in WCW.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wondered how Kevin Nash enjoyed that line. Just quite interesting. But yeah, he is right. One of the main issues that WCW went out of business is because they didn't have one guy throughout the entire Monday Night Wars that they could actually look to and say, okay, you're the guy that's going to steer the ship for right or wrong. They just kept chopping and changing. WWE had Vince all the way through.
That's it.
And yeah, he may not have steered it in right direction sometimes, but he was always the guy that everyone knew he was in charge. And I think that's a big reason why WWE won. But man, that's a whole different can of worms to open, isn't it? The reasons WCW lost the Monday Night Wars. That could be an extra right there. But,
oh yeah.
He's glad the network is free this month, so everyone can see his greatest victory of the Authority. Sorry, Trips, network hasn't launched in the UK.
That's it.
We can't watch it. Well, we can. We just have to pay for it. So it's just really annoying when they do this. I know technically we're a smaller minority of WWE's fans, but come on, they've got to realise that, looking through it, looking through it from an English or Irish perspective, that's pretty shitty to keep coming out with all this stuff. Oh, it's free, why haven't you signed up? It's like, I know why I haven't signed up. They announced a contract signing for the end of the night, introduced their own team, now including the team player, Luke Harper. He just randomly adds that same line here. Sure, they didn't need any more ways to make him creepy, but fair enough, getting even more creepier. Steph brings up Ryback, and this brings out Ryback. Ryback, as we know, last week he was pretty much the theme of the entire show. And I was glad to see here this week that, while he wasn't the theme of the show, but he was still looked at like a...
He was still He was still quite predominant.
yeah, like... far better than he has been over the last 18 months, as we said
Yeah.
last week. And they continued it this week. Let's hope that they can continue it after the pay-per-view. Because there is a feeling that maybe that after the pay-per-view's gone, they don't need a lot of these big stars to come to Cena's aid. That it'll go into WrestleMania season. A lot of these guys that they've put some stock in recently will just get pushed aside again. But I hope, for Ryback's sake, at very least, that it doesn't happen. So... he says that, again, he wants what's best for Ryback, Team Ryback. Kane then gets forced to state that he regrets last week's actions. Just getting whipped there by Steph, but she's a powerful woman.
Do it!
Yeah, she's
No.
a powerful woman. Would you do what she told you to? I think a lot of people would. There. She brings up this is an interesting part. She brought up a video package of Cena and Ryback's feud last year. If you don't remember it, it was the one that, killed off all of Ryback's remaining momentum. But there we are. But it's basically a video package of Cena doing the comedy shtick on Ryback. Yeah, I'm gonna eat a Twinkie.
I'm Ryback.
Yeah, essentially doing that. And for me doing a cold, that wasn't pleasant for me to act out for you guys,
But surprisingly accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it helped. I don't know. Maybe Ryback always has a cold. Who knows? So, yeah, I thought it was a bit apt because what's quite funny is sometimes they'll bring up this stuff and it's like, oh, okay, now they're kind of bring up continuity, but there was tons of continuity breaks on this show. Not just this show, but WWE in general. They're not known for their continuity at all. They like to bend and break their own rules as they see fit to fit whatever storyline they want to tell. But yeah, fair enough. Johnson did say a lot of disparaging remarks about the guy. So
Oh yeah,
there we are.
it was ridiculous, especially just like to flash back on it all, and it's like, oh, I remember when that. Oh.
when Ryback was effectively buried,
Yeah.
What was it? That was the ending. That was the ending tale of his 13 loot losses consecutively on pay-per-views. Ouch. Hopefully we don't go back to those dark days, but who can only see. So Steph says that Cena hates Ryback, loathes him, and is jealous of him, and that he shouldn't join Team Cena. This leaves Ryback just to walk out. She says, I'm on Team Ryback, and that's it.
That's it.
So Triple H then sees fit. He's going to start. He basically states that beginning from now, the demolition of Team Cena will commence, and he sets up a Intercontinental title match for the opening of the show between Harper and Ziggler. This was a 15-minute opener to the show, Matt, and you know my feelings on, especially authority segments opening up shows.
Yeah.
15-minute opener that set the skeleton of the show, so fair enough. But was it good? No, it wasn't. Not particularly. It didn't have the same fire that we've been praising Triple H the last couple of weeks for his promo work.
And it felt quite lacking this week.
Yeah. And Steph looks uninspired in the role that she is in at the moment, unfortunately. And those two are we praise Steph and Triple H.
Promo powerhouse.
Your promo powerhouse. Promo power couple, probably is what
That's
I
it.
would say. That you can always expect a decent promo from these guys when they're feeling on it. But maybe, the rest of the storyline kind of plays itself out from this point on, But no, it doesn't harken to the fact of the excellent ones. That I look back at Triple H's mini speech he gave to Orton at the beginning of this stretch of matches, stretch of Raws leading up to Survivor Series, and I thought that was phenomenal. And just out of nowhere, just expecting another intermittent Triple H promo, and then suddenly he busts out something very interesting to watch. But there's nothing like that here. So, if you're saying to us, well, can I do with skipping this? I would say absolutely. You can definitely go without. You can definitely do with skipping it. There's nothing much to see here. They just narrate what's going on and set up the skeleton to the show, which unfortunately the Authority do time and time again, which it can be done in other ways. I get the feeling, I don't know whether you get this, Matt, as well, WWE seem slightly scared to let the show go on organically because of the length of time that it's on. So now they have to have someone come out and say, this is what's going to happen later on, this is what's going to happen here, this is going to happen here. Just so that at the very least they hope to retain some of their fleeting...
Some concentration, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it anyway. And as we said there before, 3 hours is just too long. And when, you know, I do think 3 hours is a lot to do with the reason why we get segments like this. They pad it out with a lot of stuff that we already know, because back in, I'm not going back to the Attitude Era, but even after that, 2 hours was enough to fit a very action-packed Raw, and not have to pad it out with a lot of narration of what's going on at the moment. They just basically went on and went on. So there we are. So anyway, big talking point of this week: the opening match. Ziggler against Harper for the Intercontinental Championship. Seth Rollins is on commentary with Noble and Mercury at his side. Not for long though, because Noble and Mercury think, we're just going to beat up Ziggler, and he gets bonked on the head with the briefcase, selling it like a champ. The one thing I'd state here is that he obviously knows he's getting screwed out here, but Ziggler, I hate it when they do this nowadays. The fighting champion, even though he looks like he's got a concussion, and he's like, barely able to stand. He's like, yeah, ring the bell anyway. I'm just like, come on. Like,
yeah, that's it. Like, you could have just completely avoided all of this, but no, you want to fight for it.
It's like, okay, we get it. Like, you're a face, and yeah, I get what you're doing there. It's. I think fans have evolved on a little bit more from that now. That they honestly would be like, they'd actually give props to Ziggler for saying, actually, no, I'm not fit to compete, and then show up later on. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe I'm just looking at it. Because we've been burned a lot by WWE, maybe we're a bit,
yeah,
jaded on the whole thing. But I just thought it was like that. But anyway, so while this is all happening, and this is the theme of the night, by the way, so the Authority are using the numbers game to get on top of their opponents, beat them down, right? Decimate them, remove them from the match, which for one person they did. So they're using all these numbers, and then, while all this injustice happens, all the reasons why Cena wants to get rid of the Authority, he's nowhere to be found when these guys need backup themselves.
Yeah.
There's this point...
Especially considering, wasn't it, last week or the week before, we had was Cena and Ziggler, the last two people backstage, and, whatever happens, I've got your back. Yeah.
It's like, really? You haven't saved anyone to this day, really. But that's a staple of the John Cena character. And one thing that not a lot of people pick up on, John Cena doesn't save. What's quite ironic in the whole Ryback thing, if you remember, the reason why Ryback went heel is because Cena didn't help him.
Yeah.
It's like, now Cena later on, we'll go into that segment, gets pissy at Ryback for not helping him. It's like, what? The consistency. You see what I mean about consistency, guys, when it comes to WWE. So, Ziggler and Harper, you'd think they could have a great match, and this is an okay match. It's not great. And you would expect maybe down the line, Ziggler will get his rematch and they can have a real showstopper. Ziggler, he's the show off and all that. And this match I thought had a good story. It was like Harper basically hitting Ziggler with a bunch of everything, and he kept kicking out. A story of his resilience. If you're gonna have a new heel champion, which Harper did beat him with a really wicked clothesline to win the match.
Yeah.
But if you want to make the face champion still look like something good and not lose that much from losing the belt, this is probably one of the better ways to do it.
That's it, to earn it.
Yeah, he kicked out of everything. It looked like he couldn't get beat. He obviously had no chance of winning the match because he got attacked beforehand. But he kept fighting, and maybe that's what they were going for there. It made Ziggler look stupid, but at least it made him look like he wouldn't give up, and got that all the traits of a good face. So
that's it. The passion for the title.
I think this is a good move, giving Harper the belt. It wasn't as if Ziggler was doing that much with it anyway.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
the worst part is, after Raw, I read somewhere someone was just like, they're playing hot potato with the belt again. No, shut up.
Ziggler's been champion for a while, at very least in the championship title picture for a long time. So I don't have an issue with Harper winning the belt here. I really don't. I think
that's it. It's like, but then Miz had it, and then Ziggler had it, and then Miz had it, and then Ziggler had it. I was like, Shut up.
They did that, and I think I actually stated as well that I didn't like them switching the title that much. But I would much rather them switch the title in a couple of days, and then having a long couple of months with the champion having the belt, than doing it
Yeah.
1 month switch, 1 month switch, 1 month switch.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I prefer the way.
Change places.
Change places. Um, so, the thing is here, I've made a note here, is that obviously we know what happens when you become a mid, when you get one of those mid-tier belts, unless you're Rusev, right, which it makes sense for you to keep winning matches. Once you get one of these things, it suddenly makes it very okay for you to lose televised matches. So I'm just like, Ziggler now has got the ability to win televised matches, and Harper's lost that ability by getting the belt. It's like weighing someone down. But let's hope they do something different, but I doubt it. You probably have Harper lose a bunch of televised matches going forward, which is not the way to book a champion, but it's not as if WWE have made any strides to change that. So that's
That's
the way
it. They have their way.
That's it. After the match, Rollins curb stomped Ziggler, and commentary sell it as if Ziggler's like completely destroyed, that he'll never be able to get to the match this weekend. Yeah, he wasn't like curb stomped onto steel steps, onto tables, onto concrete, or anything along those lines. He just got curb stomped. And I'm like, consistency, guys. Like,
Do you
obviously,
know one thing I quite like? This is consistency. Oh my god, Jack Swagger has been curb stomped twice. He was on main event.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Like,
He's never gonna make it to Survivor Series. We're gonna have to find a replacement. He was on main event.
it's just so stupid. Them going on, and like, I'll point this back to what we said last week about this whole thing when they're trying to sell. Oh, they won't be able to make it. They won't be able to make it. Yet they had people almost like dancing around in the ring after Hell in a Cell matches. This month just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. And it's quite hard for me to genuinely believe that a curb stomp, just a regular curb stomp, would leave someone out of action for 6, 10, 14 days, whatever, until they're out of the match this weekend. It just, and as you say, apparently Swagger's fine. He's just wrestling main event matches, so
That's it.
just a little bit ridiculous there. Commentary states that Grumpy the Cat is their host, and obviously say that Michael Cole throughout the majority of the show, so no one clued him in, or they did clue him in, he just didn't listen, that Grumpy Cat is actually a female cat.
Yeah.
Not a he. So, and it's not Grumpy the Cat, it's just Grumpy Cat. Know your memes, Mr. Cole.
That's it. Know the internet.
For someone that spouts as many social media, references as he does, you'd think that maybe
He knows who Grumpy Cat is.
He knows who Grumpy Cat. So yeah, get to know your memes, man. Come on, catch up with the rest of us. Kofi's New Day vignette. Later on, we would get Big E's. We'll talk about more there with Big E's version. I'm going to give my overall thoughts on where these guys will be going, and
To the toilet.
We'll obviously talk about it there, but it's not much better, in regards to that. Here we go, Matt. I know you've got stuff to say about this.
Which bit?
I will explain what happens next. Backstage, Miz is selling a movie idea to Grumpy Cat. There's a lot of stuff on this show I thought I would say. That was not one of them, but we've said a lot of crazy stuff on the show already. The funny thing about this is, for all the segments in which Grumpy Cat was involved in the show, it looked like she could barely stay awake.
Yeah.
Which...
Like sedated the poor cat so it stayed on that pedestal for 3 hours straight.
It gives us a too easy of a joke to state that, oh, well, we can barely stay awake during Raw either, but it's just too easy. We can't go there. But yeah, it just looked like she could barely... poor cat just sitting around. Looks like she just wanted to sleep. Maybe someone was just poking her in her legs to keep her awake. So to do these segments. It looked like she was in genuine pain, to be sitting next to the Miz during this segment. And like I said, this was like less than 30 minutes into the show, and yeah, she was involved in a few more segments going forward. Miz gets annoyed that Grumpy Cat apparently cannot speak English, even though she can in the movie, but still. Yeah, Grumpy Cat's in the movie. I've seen the trailer.
Oh dear.
That's the reason why she's on the show. And gets annoyed that she doesn't accept his invitation to be in a movie with him, Then he comes back and kisses her because apparently he's actually a big fan. Your thoughts on the segment as a whole?
I don't want to give thoughts.
Okay.
I have no thoughts. I think
Doesn't
literally
deserve your
that
thoughts.
whole segment just like switched me into that white flash rage. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Like ever since I found out that like Grumpy Cat was going to be on Raw, I was like, great, here we go for shit. And lo and behold, shit is what we got.
Yeah. I know some people are actually blaming the cat for the segment. Really? No? You don't blame, the creative? Did you not, you don't realise that it's actually just a cat? That
Yeah,
the
that's
cat
it.
can't hit a promo or do anything physical, and yet they're like, oh, well, it was just bad because the cat couldn't really do
Fucking
anything.
Grumpy Cat. What did Grumpy Cat do?
Look, it's just a cat. Like, how can you expect it to make a good promo? I just don't understand why some, WWE are bad for booking it. They could have done something a little bit less. Maybe just shown her off to the crowd, got a few ahs and stuff. It's still a cat, right?
Yeah,
Obviously they kept it backstage to, maybe, a big crowd probably would have scared a cat like that. Fair enough, right? But yeah, it's just like they did this segment, and it's like a lot of people. I just see a lot of people going, "Oh, it's just really bad because Miz couldn't do much with the cat." Well, don't blame Miz. Don't blame the cat. Blame creative because they decided to
that's it.
book this. It's just like, oh man, I just don't. Just some people just don't understand that it's just a cat. You can't blame a cat for a
That's it.
bad
It's a
promo.
cat that looks grumpy. Okay.
Do you know the reason why it looks that way?
No.
It basically's got a form of dwarfism and an underbite. That's essentially what makes the cat look grumpy, right? Even though
Oh,
the cat itself, I did my research. The cat itself is
so
actually quite nice, I've heard. So
so it's actually
to
just
break the
because it's
illusion,
actually a handicapped cat.
essentially, apparently her back legs don't even work that well either. Um, so yeah, when you look at it that way, you're like, oh, poor thing, and to be. I understand that Grumpy Cat will probably enjoy the shit that she had in her little box later on the night than she did this segment, but
That's it.
that's all we can say about it. Wasn't the
But
only
care more for it.
wasn't the only part that's really involved of it. When you look at it, I mean, the way I looked at this segment is like, obviously it's not good. You wouldn't expect it to be good, but at least I just looked at a cat that it's a cat. I'm a fan of cats.
That's it. I have cats. Cool.
Awesome. But yeah, there we go. We are
Um,
trying to find some semblance of good here, and that's it. Just it's a cat on a screen. I watch cat videos on YouTube sometimes. It's my guilty pleasure, whatever.
that's it. Cue the R's, okay?
Yeah. Oh god. Well, here we go. So the start of the show did not go off so well, shall we say? Adam Rose against Tyson Kidd. The bunny is still with Adam Rose, and all I can think of is that the bunny needs to get itself out of an abusive relationship here.
That's it.
Just keeps going back to Adam Rose, no matter how many kicks in the stomach.
But Adam.
Peter are going to be fucking shitting themselves. Right? Don't get them onto Adam Rose. Anyway, the bunny starts pissing off Rose pretty quickly by doing a stage dive
And a dry hump.
and a dry hump. Towards the end of the match.
Yeah.
And then Adam Rose is like, no, you can't do that. Basically, he's playing a prick, pretty much like the gimmick he's playing, which is Russell Brand.
Really?
That guy's a prick as well.
Would you say he's got a Russell Brand gimmick?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'd say so. He's got the prick part of it down. But anyway, I don't like Russell Brand, so there we go. Cole states the following, that the bunny, here we go, bombshell dropped. Are you ready for this, right? After all this, then absolutely busting a gut over this bunny. JBL going mental, just blowing a gasket multiple times. In regards to this bunny, he drops a bombshell. Are you ready for this? Are you sitting down?
Ready for it.
Our fans right now, sit down, please. There's a big bit of news coming, and I know you won't be able to hack it. Okay, guys? Sit down and listen. Cole reveals the following, that the bunny is just a man in a bunny outfit.
No.
Fucking, I'm sorry, guys.
You took the...
Yeah.
I can no longer watch.
I'm like, really? What a revelation, Michael Cole! You have solved the mystery of the ages. Thank you. And then he also says here, this is actually a little bit more interesting. He says that it could be Ron Simmons. Now I'm definitely sure that someone has
They've
fed
been
him a line.
listening in on us.
Yeah, come on. We broke that joke a while back, That just seems a bit crazy anyway. The bunny dances towards Natalia. Apparently the bunny is a bit horny. But there we are. which distracts Adam Rose. Apparently, Tyson Kidd then gets the win.
Yep.
It's not a good Adam Rose match, but there never has been a good Adam Rose match, so that's the way it goes. Not even Tyson Kidd, in his in-ring brilliance, can bring anything good out of this man. Rose tries to attack the bunny, but then seems to get molested by him.
Yeah. You get butt bumped.
He did. The rabbit humped him from behind in a very sexual manner.
Yeah.
Next week, WWE announced that Adam Rose and the Bunny will be having the second live sex show that they've ever had. No, of course not. That would be. Can you imagine JBL blowing a gasket over that? Let's not go into that. Then apparently the Bunny twerks on stage. Commentary about, by the way, are finding this absolutely hilarious. You know, just think this is the funniest thing in the world. The Black Plague of segments has struck again. There we are.
Okay.
Are you a fan of the Bunny?
No.
No.
I'm a fan of who's potentially within the suit.
Yeah, apparently a lot of, I was talking about Justin Gabriel. Someone actually made a fairly avid point that it actually could be him under the suit. A lot of their moves look a little bit similar, but they could be chopping and changing.
I'm sorry, but I saw two pictures, and one of those, the kick in the gut, and squatting on the top rope. And it's like, well, that's pretty much the usual way that you kick in the gut and squat on the top rope. You're like, it must be him.
Yeah.
Well,
it wouldn't shock me if it was, though. It could be anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. Like we said, as we said last week, as long as the head doesn't come off and reveal someone like Sami Zayn, we're all for anyone being under that mask. We just don't want anyone associated with this kind of bullshit, Yeah. Sami Zayn, dressed up as a bunny, humped, Adam Rose. We don't want that entering fans' minds before this guy gets a chance on the main roster. So, hopefully not. An in-ring promo with Bray Wyatt. Now, this is the totality of Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose's build-up. So this had to be good. We said last week they've had little to no time to sell this rivalry, and the match is now. It's happening.
Yeah.
So it had to be good. Okay. While the segment itself was okay, it wasn't nearly good enough to do what it needed to do.
No, I was sort of just like, right, this has to be good because this is the selling for this event. It's like, right, no, I didn't get it.
No.
It was good. It was a good promo, and like, I'm never going to turn around and say that it was a terrible promo, but it's like to sort of sell the fact it's like, right, Sunday's pay-per-view, you've got a match. You've essentially got to sell the whole thing tonight.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which they could. They've got the skill on the mic to do it. Of course they do, but the time, they didn't get that much time in this, and there wasn't much of a story that has been told over the course of this month. I think this rivalry, we said, okay, someone's going to come out of this looking like a loser, but we can enjoy it for what it is. I haven't enjoyed it that much, guys. I have to admit. So let's go through what happens anyway. Bray Wyatt does come out. First time we've seen him come out on his own to cut a promo in the ring since he was rebooted. So that's one thing to say. He says that he comes in peace and he wants to save Dean Ambrose and make all his pain go away. He says that while it seems like he wants to, attack him, beat him up, he actually just wants to save him and, be his light and all this lot, which sounds quite romantic, really.
The world is not ready for people like them.
Yeah, that's it. Dean Ambrose shows up on the Titantron. He can't stand Wyatt's words, and he has learned, apparently, the power of video editing. Dean, I have the same power. I'm going to make a statement here that we must only use it for good, okay? It's very powerful, video editing, okay? Anyway, he says that he's not actually, he's not actually live, of course. He's in the crowd, and then he pops up and attacks Wyatt in the ring. And that's essentially it. They have a little spat, and that's your rivalry, guys. I wish I could say more. I wish I could say one of them. I mean, Bray Wyatt has tried to bring up Dean Ambrose's family, but it's not been nearly as effective as when Chris Jericho did it to CM Punk,
Yeah, exactly.
And for all the praise we heap upon Bray Wyatt about being a great promo guy, that aspect of this rivalry just hasn't gotten over. It's not. It's not. He hasn't used that avenue enough. And if he was going to... We said before that they shouldn't use that avenue because Bray is better than that, but if they were planning on doing it and bring it up anyway, then they should have gone full kilter. Just go with it. But when you look at the likes of when Chris Jericho did it, man, he looked like a Man, you wanted him to get his ass kicked by CM
Oh
Punk
yeah, definitely.
big time when he smashed alcohol over the man's head because of his alcoholic father's background and stuff like that. Just really powerful and really great visual. There's been none of that here with these guys. You would expect brilliance, and it may not be their fault. They haven't exactly been given a lot of time. You know, you could probably stack up all the stuff
Stuff.
go leading into this in less than half an hour, and that's over 9 hours of television that they put on TV. It's not very
That's
good.
it.
Um, and I have to admit, I thought I'd be going into Wyatt Ambrose at the pay-per-view, and I'd be ready for these guys to kick 10 barrels of shit out of each other. To me, it doesn't matter what they do, really. I'll try and enjoy the match. It probably will be decent. But where is it? It looks like this match, ironically, is the start of their feud, not the like the selling point or the stamp on it. Um,
I say it's like rather than sort of being in a situation, it's like this could be the end, and it's like no, I don't get that feeling. I don't
it,
get that vibe.
It just, and like I said, I don't like saying that I'm not into a White Ambrose feud because it sounds alien to me. It should work,
Yeah,
but
totally.
it just doesn't, unfortunately for me. Hopefully they'll get more time, maybe because obviously the Survivor Series stuff has kind of swallowed them up. But I'd say that you can't really even say that. You've got a 3 hour show each week. You've got time, and they just haven't used any of it with these guys.
We say they've got time, but it's just like I think the Survivor Series match has actually been detrimental to everything because it's like you have time, yeah, but there's 10 people that you've got to try and get involved, and it's just like, and then there you go, you've got 5 matches, and 5 matches is an episode of Raw.
Yeah.
When you chuck a Divas match in there,
Yeah, and you give it like a couple of minutes to some of your other matches, which they do here and here and there.
that's it. Yeah,
But one of the things that Yumi said before we started up was that they've given little to no love to anything apart from that Survivor Series match, and it will
yeah.
damage that pay-per-view. So we'll see it there anyway. So Ryback and Cesaro have a match next. So I'm absolutely sure from obviously when I saw Cesaro come out against Ryback, you knew where this was going. They weren't going to make Ryback lose, right? So we just know that. So then I was like, Cesaro must. I'm absolutely sure he's pissed someone off. More than likely with his, him disliking the Cena Orton, you know.
Yeah, for the 500th time.
Yeah, he's obviously that statement, or either something he's done has landed him in hot water because he's been booked to look like the biggest loser on the roster.
That's it.
Even worse than before, I would state. It's actually getting worse. But we didn't think it could get worse. It is getting worse for the guy. He's just not looking good at all. The guy can't win a match. When he had his title match against Ziggler, he lost in 2 straight falls, and he didn't bounce back. He got worse.
That's it.
Man, it gets continued. Man, we've got our awards next week, and he is just the front runner for worst booked wrestler of the year by far. Man, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. So this match, one thing you would expect though with Cesaro, he can still put off a good match even if he's losing them. So they actually have a half decent match here. It's actually very very good. I thought it was okay between Ryback and Cesaro here. I thought it was a good.
It was a good to and fro. It was a good power match, actually.
Yeah, like I said, for as much as Cesaro's been booked to look like a loser, he surely made you think sometimes that he had his moments in the match. I don't ever think he's going to win the match, obviously, but
Oh no.
they did their best to try and sell it to you, even though WWE hasn't exactly helped him in that regard. But commentary do the annoying thing here. They do what they do all the time is that they've got a really good match in front of them, and for a good 5 minutes they might spend that time talking about the overarching story, talking about the Survivor Series match. It's like, guys, you've got a really kick-ass match in the ring. Can you please focus on that?
Shut up and talk about a match.
I've got no problem you doing this when it's got a boring match in the ring, but really this match you've got is actually really it's watchable. It's really good.
That's it.
Can we have some commentary on that, please? But no. Apparently not. They did eventually get into it, but they just spent they spent an inordinate amount of time, debating what would happen if one team won and one team won, and going on this lot. It's just don't like it when they do that. When Jim Ross used to do that, and he did do it as well himself. I'm not going to say that Jim Ross wasn't guilty of doing this. It's part of what Vince McMahon tells him to do. At very least, he would cut. He would split it up a little bit. He would tell you what's going on in the match, talk about it a little bit, and when a big move was done, he'd be like, "Oh, look at that move! How they're going to go forward from here?" And then go, then he'll kind of bounce back and forth. But man, when they spend like such a long period of time talking about something that's not going on in the ring, it just takes away from the experience for me. But
Yeah.
there we are. John Cena is shown watching the match backstage, so he's definitely watching the matches. He's just choosing not to save his teammates when they get beaten up.
It's just like, I can clearly see that something is wrong. Will I get involved? No.
Nah. He's got a title match, remember? So
That's true.
He's not going to help anyone else.
Fuck you all.
Fuck you all, yeah. Ryback gets the victory with a shell shock there, and like I said, it was a decent enough match. A lot of people give stick to Ryback, but I tell you what, he can do his fair share when he's put so he's not gonna spearhead a fantastic match. Ryback, I'm in no illusions, even though me and Matt were on the Ryback bandwagon when he first came in, but we know his in-ring limits. But when you put him in there with someone like Cesaro, who can take him to that extra level, Ryback then doesn't stop him from getting to that level. At least he can run as fast as the other guy can go. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's probably the best way to do it. Renee Young with Cena backstage. You know what you're going on. Renee Young and Cena backstage. You know what you're getting involved in here. Cena essentially states that he wants Ryback on his own team. He wants Ryback with him, but he knows that Ryback's on his own team, and that's essentially it. That's the whole thing. Renee Young and Cena backstage to me is just a big sign of you can skip this. It's the same all the time.
It's Renee Young. It's a Renee Young promo backstage skit that we've always seen. It's Cena just going, "I am Cena. I will win." Yeah. Why? Because I'm Cena.
And it's not digging on Renee
Questions?
Young. Yeah, it's not digging on Renee Young. They would do it if anyone else was there. It's just that because she's the person that's there now. That's the reason why. Like I said, when I see Renee Young and Cena on the same camera screen, I'm like, okay, I'm not really into this now. I'm just moving away from it. Rusev, Machka, Rusev. Yeah. I thought this part was pretty good, right? So he's got a match against Heath Slater on the show. You know where this is heading. Poor Heath Slater, by the way. Zack Ryder is out. He's injured, possibly even for 6 months.
That's it.
When that jobber, the premier jobber slot gets opened up, looks like Slater will be taking that slot. It looks like it, anyway, to me. But oh well. Lana, here we go. Interesting part. Lana says that they had to deal with Putin being disrespected at the G20 summit. She made no reference to Stephanie doing exactly the same thing last week.
Yeah, I don't care what he says. Oh, well.
Yeah. I just thought that was quite odd. She's disgusted by people drooling over Kim Kardashian's naked, oiled-up butt, essentially, and says that no American woman can compare to Lana. She is the best, by her own words. And I have to say, in terms of WWE, of course,
she's from Florida.
Yeah, I know, but we're going by storyline. I know. But she does the role pretty well. That most people that don't know that would think that she's right. But yeah,
it was like the sexy walk as well. It's just like, I like.
I have to admit, if someone offered me Lana and someone offered me Kim Kardashian, I would go towards Lana. I have to say, Kim Kardashian just don't do it for me.
Nuh-uh.
She says that she has her own topless pictures to show everyone. And she asks if everyone can handle those topless pictures. I'm not sure many people could. I guarantee you, there's one guy in that arena that couldn't. He might have another heart attack, and that would be Jerry Lawler. Jesus, can you imagine?
Jeez, I don't know how Jerry would cope.
I don't. For the benefit of the guy, I think Lana, you keep your tartars in there. And she goes, okay, I'm going to show it to you. And then she shows a topless photo of Putin with all of his magnificent man breasts on full display.
To be fair, I saw that coming. I was like, it's going to be Putin.
It gave me a smile, though. I did like it.
Oh, yeah,
I thought she suckers a lot of people in with that. Come on, they're not going to... They didn't even show a picture of topless women on, the Attitude Era, They wouldn't do that in PG, it's just the way it is. They would also often have the Playboy covers and patch them up. I remember Ashley Massaro having basically her boobs out, but having, handprints, on them, covering up her stuff. So, yeah, I just thought it was quite funny. It did give me a smile, though. I was like, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I do like that. I thought that was pretty good. Brings out Slater. It looks like Uncle Sam has legitimately ejaculated all over him with his uber patriotism. He's just covered in American gunk,
Yeah, just caked in good old America.
America. Yeah, but as we say, Zack Ryder's gone. Slater is now the new premier jobber, and the match is literally over in a couple of seconds. But like Alberto Del Rio, you already knew that.
That's it.
Exactly. It was Slater's destiny. To bring up an old Del Rio.
To be dicked. to essentially be on the receiving end of Big Russian.
Talking about Alberto Del Rio, I saw an interview with him as El Patron, which is what he is now. And he comes across as a guy that I would actually genuinely want to have a beer with and pick his mind. You know, maybe one day the podcast gets big enough, and maybe we can get an interview with him. But he just seems like a genuine guy. You know,
you're on about the on
Wrestle Talk TV.
Wrestle Talk,
yeah. He just seems like a genuine nice guy. You know, just willing to talk, and you know, I enjoyed that. I don't enjoy a lot of stuff Wrestle Talk TV does because they are so almost like TNA heavy with the stuff that they do, unfortunately. But I think that's more so because they get viewed on Challenge, and so does TNA, so doing what they do there. And also sometimes they'll ask questions on that show, and it's just like, I know the answer to this. Is like, will they ever have a WrestleMania outside of America? And I'm like, and there's people going, of course they will. They have to. They've done it before. I'm like, no, they haven't. What are you talking about? I don't like that. But anyway, yeah, that interview on there, I just thought he just looks like a guy you want to have a beer with, you know, like you and me, Matt. You know, we guys that you know just want to have a beer with. You know? Grumpy Cat is back, Matt. Grumpy Cat is back.
Yep.
Excited for this. Miz is still, she's still fighting off sleeping, by the way, for all this. Miz now wants to do a buddy comedy where Grumpy Cat gets the girl. I didn't know she was that way inclined, but okay. You know, and basically she's the hero and everything along these lines. But he's still expecting her to respond, and she doesn't because she's a cat.
That's it. I got an answer.
Yeah,
meow.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, there wasn't even a meow to be heard. Erick Rowan comes in, who, as we know, is a big fan of the pussy. That line there was funnier than anything that was done on this segment. Thank you. It says that he wants the Grumpy Cat, but he actually means the doll, to do whatever perverted sex acts. I don't know. Just whatever he wants to do. I guess looking over Putin's topless photos. That might get him going. Putin's topless photos, by the way, much cheaper than Sonny's.
That is very true.
On Skype. So, don't know. I wonder how much Lana could get if she was choosing the same thing at the moment. Probably a lot more than $100.
I'd imagine so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Big Show versus Sheamus. So, here we are. Here's the question of this. Stephanie essentially plugs the network here. She doesn't make this easy on herself. She says that Big Show, because Big Show's in the ring first, always wanted to be the top guy on the roster, but never stepped out of the shadow. Big Shadow being John Cena, of course, essentially.
She plays it up like Andre's the shadow.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in his early years, he was stated that he was like the next incarnation of Andre, was the son of Andre, or something like that. There was a lot of stuff going on. And I will say this, and man, I know I get a lot of hate off of people, but Andre had his allure to him. He's one of the legends. He solidified his place. But Big Show's always been a better athlete than Andre the Giant could ever be. And it's not so much, the Big Show's so much better. It's just different times. Andre the Giant back then wasn't expected to have to bump around and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you never have to. I'm just stating that there's the big difference there. I think Show, when they call him the world's largest athlete, a lot of stuff isn't given. You know, he doesn't get a lot of praise for him being as athletic as he is, for the size that he is. We said last week with Great Khali getting released that a guy looks awkward, that he just doesn't look like he can move properly under his own weight. Big Show looks like he could roll around. He's done drop kicks in the ring, for Christ's sake.
That's it. Oh Jesus, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff, and you know he bumps around, throws himself into spears. He does all sorts of stuff that a guy his size. I think he gets underappreciated in that sense. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So she says though, if Cena leaves John Cena, that he'll get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I would state to Big Show, don't worry, Pete Rose got in there. I'm pretty sure you're a lock-in. So
I say no. He'd be the only current active member.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm sure there's been other active members that have been inducted. No, they haven't actually, no.
No.
They've been pretty shrewd that if people have been they been inducted. Normally WrestleMania's been like their last match. I'm pretty sure Ric Flair got inducted and then he lost his match. I could be wrong with that. I know there's been one person that got inducted and wrestled the match afterwards, but
Yeah.
there we are. So Show refuses the offer. This brings out Sheamus, who, you'd expect to use yourself, blah 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 blah. You'll be out of a job, blah 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 blah. It's
Blah,
Sheamus.
blah, blah, fella.
Fella. I remember who's doing that 1-800 fella nonsense that quickly went out the window.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie
Well remembered.
yeah. Stephanie reminds him that there's a chance that Sheamus could get deported if he continues to stay on Team Cena. I imagine Zeb Coulter's ears pricked up a little bit there, which is the word deported.
Yeah. That's it. What? Just like I can imagine him just fighting to get out of his chair. Just like, deport! Jack!
just like that, a drop of a hat just by saying the word deported makes them heel again. That's going to be quite so much. So she states the winner of the match, they're going to have, like I said, Sheamus against Big Show, will get a WWE title shot. So this means that they obviously have to wait after Cena. Seth Rollins,
I was going to say, like, you're going to be number one contender to the number one contender.
To the winner of the Royal Rumble, to the Money in the Bank guy.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of people to wait behind, dude, so I wouldn't worry so much.
It doesn't hold that much.
Yeah. At least you've got plenty of chances for someone to get the belt off Lesnar before you have a crack, so there we go.
That's true.
There's something to say about that. Now, I actually remember a very, very, very close match of the year contender between Big Show and Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship. Do you remember this match?
God, yeah.
It was excellent. And I mean, we don't put that, like I said, we praised Big Show for his athleticism earlier on, but often he won't have 5-star matches, right?
No.
That match he had against Sheamus a couple of years ago was nothing short of excellent. That's the only thing I can say about it. It was extremely well done.
I think we were talking at the time, it was like, at the time of that match, we were dealing with like a monster Big Show.
Yes, like he was the heel in all that, wasn't he? And he was like, going along those lines. So you're thinking here that these guys have something of a chemistry, and they did have a string of good matches with that one amazing match that they did have, where Show won the belt. If you can find it, if you guys got the network, just look back on Wiki or something along those lines. It was worth watching. That show that they did wrestle was actually pretty bad, if I remember, but that match was really good. So, however,
trying to remember what show it was now.
I can't remember what it was. I know it was roughly around about this time of the year as well, so it could have been anything along those lines. This match, however, was not excellent. It's nowhere near that quality. It had a fairly amount of length, but as it goes towards its final blows, I thought the match itself was a little bit too slow for my liking.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. Rusev and Henry come in, cause the DQ. They attack Sheamus first. Does that mean that Sheamus gets the title shot? I'm pretty sure they won't remember that, but...
Yeah. Continuity!
Continuity, guys. That's the theme of the week. Henry then slams Sheamus through the table with the world's strongest slam, while Rusev locks the accolade on Show. Show is passed out. As we said before, Cena obviously is watching the matches, but doesn't come out and save them.
No. Because fuck you guys.
Yeah, just lets them get destroyed. Sheamus, by the way, is actually written out of the show. He's not on the match this weekend. Well, tonight, as you guys will be getting this.
Yeah.
And someone else took his place at the end of the night. So, yeah, a bit weird that they actually did that. Sheamus is normally a guy that he'd probably be a lock in anything that he's involved in. But still, they decided to go in a different angle, so to speak. But it is quite funny that, like as you say, there's like we've seen Sheamus get driven through stuff before. It's been not he's been in wars before, everything those lines, and he's shown up. He's done the same thing that Cena, Orton, Rollins, and Ambrose did the night after Hell in a Cell. Just walk, he's fine, fella. Yeah, it's cracker back.
Hellacious matches, but still walking the next day.
Yeah, but apparently one World's Strongest Slam renders him incapacitated for at least a week, so he misses
through a table. Yeah,
it's just the inconsistency of it. It's quite funny in that sense. And they've only done it to himself. I've got no problem with them writing off people for matches and stuff. But the problem is this all goes back to what we're saying about Hell in a Cell stuff. If you've got people coming out and you don't write them off for the show afterwards, so it makes you think, actually, fair enough, like if they get beaten up this week, they may not make the show next week. How many times have we seen Cena fucking magically rise up from the dead and show up on the next night as if he's got nothing wrong with him? That damages people thinking that, wait a minute, Really? Really? These guys get it done to them every week. They should be fine. It's just continuity. Theme of the show. There we are. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, Cena must maybe he gets off on watching his teammates get beaten up because he was nowhere to be seen helping his teammates. Nikki Bella against Brie Bella. Well, AJ Lee, because she's dressing up like AJ Lee, Brie Bella here. She skips out Brie Bella as AJ Lee. And I've got to say, if you didn't look at their face, considering the way that she has her hair and, the body shape is, he's got a different, they've got a different, skin colour, you could be forgiven for thinking that it was AJ from behind, from an angle, I just thought that.
Is it really wrong that this was probably one of the very few situations where I actually thought Brie Bella was attractive?
Really?
I don't know why.
Oh.
It was really bizarre. I was just sort of like, yeah.
Maybe.
I think she'll go back to looking like a redneck next week, and I'll be like, no.
Well, all that aside.
I don't know.
Oh, what about your previous, WWE crushes? Mickie James would be ashamed of you right now, man. Mickie James would be ashamed. Anyway.
Well, Layla's not around.
So. Layla's not around either, yeah. You're a big fan of Layla. See, we can say all that stuff now because we do have significant others, and they're nice enough to not mind us saying that we admire the looks of other
don't
women.
Listen to the podcast.
Well, no, it's right. I've often said, with my wife, Lana's an attractive woman, and she would agree with me. As long as she can say to me, that guy looks attractive, I know nothing will happen.
That's it.
It's fine. So, yeah, essentially this is like, apparently they state just before the match that this is an exhibition match. They made sure that they stated that. Technically, to me, isn't all non-title, no stipulation singles matches exhibition matches?
Well, going by WWE games, then yes.
Yeah.
You go to exhibition, and then you pick your match type. So, yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's an exhibition, so it's just a match then.
Yeah. Yeah. AJ on commentary here. Of all the people in all of WWE, there is no better guest commentator in that company than AJ Lee. She's superb in that role. And there's a lot of people that make it very painful, but by a clear mile, AJ Lee tends to save commentary sometimes when she's on there next to him. She's very, very quick off the mark, and this was no different. She was very, very good again. So Brie's getting her ass kicked because Nikki is obviously telling her to. When Nikki goes to finish the match, put her up for the rack attack. AJ distracts her, and then Brie decides, okay, I'll just win using the most devastating finishing move in wrestling history, the roll-up schoolboy pin, of course.
That's it.
So does this mean that the terms of her, not doing as she was told?
Fired now.
Yeah, surely she should be fired, right? That's continuity, WWE. No, I just thought obviously that isn't going to happen. So after the match, anyway, AJ uses the Shining Wizard on Nikki and then DDTs Brie after Brie decides to do a yes chant. And then, like I said, I thought it was quite weird that this storyline arguably has been given more attention and on Raw time than the Ambrose Wyatt stuff.
Yeah, it's something that not necessarily needs the time, but is more deserving of the time.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the last build up. I think they've done fine building up the Nikki AJ stuff. I think it's been okay. I haven't got an issue with the way they brought it up. And as I said, it's just they've shaken up a little bit. I got sick of seeing AJ against Paige. I got sick of Nikki and the whole Brie stuff. So at least now we've got AJ against Nikki. It's just something different. So I have our thoughts.
We'll accept it.
That's it. Big E is telling us it's time for a new day, because he's using his preacher voice. Oh yeah, on the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast.
That's terrifying,
isn't it? But apparently that's what we're getting. If you remember right, Big E did that voice randomly in one of his promos, just really, really randomly, and I was like, wait, is he trying to be a preacher all of a sudden? It looks like we're gonna get preacher Big E.
Man.
Yeah, we're gonna get razzle dazzle preacher Big E coming in. Out of all three of them, I thought Big E was probably the more entertaining of the three in these promos.
I think it might just be because Big E is the more entertaining of the three.
Yeah. I mean, we saw some real good stuff that he could do in NXT on the mic. He just didn't transfer it onto Raw. Hopefully this will be something for him. I know that you and me have ragged on these promos, and we don't expect anything really to come of these guys. They'll just be probably in the same mid card that they were when they left.
Just in a
Realistically,
fact, just like a mid card faction. They're essentially going to become the new 3MB.
I'm hard pressed to bet against you. I really am. Although there is Kofi's had his time. He's been with the company years and years and years, and he's always been
It's like
boring.
Kofi's a veteran. I'm
Yeah.
not going to turn around and deny that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that so I really don't, and people know my views on Kofi, right? If you're going to make him a star, that if he was going to ever become a big star for you, that time has gone and passed. You're just not going to get time out of him, right? Big E though and Xavier Woods, they're still relatively new to the roster, so you can make something big out of these guys. So fair enough. So I hope that possibly something comes of it for at least those guys' sake.
Yeah.
But can we see it happening? I just don't see it happening. I see them literally just going straight back into where they were. They probably will have a match at the pay-per-view because the pay-per-view is bare, it's barren of matches.
That's
So they
it.
probably will have something to do with it. But I just don't see it happening, guys. I really don't. I just don't see anything happening with these guys. Maybe for the first month, maybe they'll get something for another month, and then it'll be exactly the same. They'll just be involved in 3-man tag matches. That just fills up some of the show each week and be involved in nothing. You know, it's a
That's
shame.
it.
It's a shame. It really is. Backstage, Cena talks to Ryback. Ryback obviously is quite pissed at Cena, being reminded of all the things that Cena had said about him. And so here's the thing, right? Cena then says, "Well, you're being selfish here. You've got a chance here. An opportunity." And I'm like, really? Wasn't he telling Ziggler, as we said earlier on, that he could leave a week ago? That okay, you can leave. It'll be fine. Honestly, I won't feel bad for you. And yet, apparently, the rules have changed for Ryback.
Yeah,
You know,
that's it.
just I thought that was quite odd. And as we said earlier on, the whole thing Ryback turning heel was because Cena didn't come and help him, and yet, wow, Cena needs help, and you're going to go, wow, you are selfish. Even though Cena has been watching all his friends get decimated and not coming out to help them.
Yeah,
So,
now who's the selfish one?
isn't it? Um, he brings up apparently Ryback all he wants to do is feed. He has the chance to get the biggest meal of all, and Ryback wants nothing about it. Or maybe Ryback's scared of losing like 13, 14 consecutive pay-per-views in a row against John. Not everyone gets it as easy as you do, mate. All right,
That's it.
exactly.
Not everyone just gets handed everything.
So I just thought, oh man, I'm sure. I hope someone does the math and finds. I mean, obviously, there's people that have lost more pay-per-views probably in a row than Ryback has. Especially if they're jobber guys. There might be losing
Yeah.
matches here and there. But for someone in such a high-profile situation that Ryback was involved in, there can't be anyone that was caught in the same situation that he was to lose that many high-profile matches
can't think
back
of
to back
anyone.
to back. It's just quite a shock. But hopefully those times are gone. Usos and Los Matadores against Miz, Mizdow, Gold, and Stardust.
Yeah.
So a 8-man tag match here. I thought it was quite funny here when you've got Mizdow flopping around in the ring, getting caught up on the ropes just like Miz is. Then you've got Gold and Stardust looking at Mizdow as if he's the weirdo. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, that was good.
It always
It's
makes
like, really?
it always makes me laugh when Stardust jumps into the ring and Cole says, "Here's Stardust, the weirdo." I'm like, no, but the first time I heard that was right next to you, Matt, and I just couldn't stop laughing in one of our friends' house. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was quite funny. Um, Stardust, the weirdo. Mizdow, man, like I said, I don't want to go over too much stuff, but he's made something out of nothing. He's got my eternal respect for doing that. From anyone that's in that ring, all they wanted to see was Mizdow. That was the only person they wanted to see in all of this.
And everyone wanted, like, the thing is, everyone was playing the heel role of not tagging.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, nah. And even like Gold and Stardust were in on it, and it's like, this is good.
Yeah. I don't want WWE to push the gun and think, okay, this guy's getting over. Sometimes they do that and they pull people out of it too quickly and strip away things that make them work, right? I don't want them to do that, right? I want them to stick with it, right? I know he's in a heel persona, but it's working at the moment. Give him a couple of more months as he is, and then find some way that when he breaks away from Miz, which he eventually will do, go face, which he's never been in the company before, that he's got something that still will make people go to it. Because obviously he's not going to be copying Miz once he's fighting against him, you know. So
That's it.
we'll see how it goes.
It's like sort of go with the Alex Riley sort of.
Yeah, how quickly Alex Riley burned out after all of it. He's had nothing.
Yeah.
Like he had,
I hated that.
yeah, he had a really decent feud with the Miz. And that was really like when he first snapped and attacked the Miz. That was really awesome to watch.
And the story was great. Like
Yeah.
the whole thing was good.
Yeah, but he
And
had
then-
nothing but that rivalry.
Yeah.
And once it was over, he had nothing else. Would you agree? Like there was nothing to him after that.
Yeah.
And now he's just on the panel before he
The analyst Alex Riley.
analyst Alex Riley. So JBL does something here. I don't know whether you caught up on this. He does the unthinkable. He blasts Los Matadores for having a miniature bull during the match. Really, JBL?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what?
So, sorry, you want to run this by me again? Apparently, you think it's silly that they have a bull? You're just jumping on this bandwagon now? No, it's not a travesty. He had his tail ripped off or anything like that, JBL.
Yeah. You know, none of this like ring any bells. You know, like loads of like El Torito Hornswoggle matches. None of that. No. Okay.
I don't mind him play acting sometimes and freaking out a little bit, but the guy went a different level to the point it was just like, really, dude. Like that whole thing, it just got painful. It was like you're that guy who's telling the joke a little bit too much and it's got uncomfortable. That's how JBL done it. So him going back and all that now is just like, really? Oh well. However, I would say though that this match had some good stuff to it. It kind of showcased some of the madness that we should expect from the match. You know,
This Sunday.
yeah, at the pay-per-view. And I do think that match will be very good. I do think it'll be a very fun match, personally.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Even though I hate, like tag team triple threats or fatal four ways, I hate them.
You much prefer a one-on-one, don't you? I'd say they've probably done that too much, that maybe this small
Oh, right, I
break in it...
completely agree.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be good. Otherwise, it'll just be like, I just find them difficult sometimes
Yeah.
to just keep up with.
But when we look at like the likes of the Usos and Stardust and Goldust, you know, we've heaped praise on them because when it comes to final blows, like the madness just goes all over the place. You know, there's people flying here, and it's all electric and there's all action, no filler. And can you imagine that with 4 teams if they can get it working well? It could be a clusterfuck, but if it works well, it could be very good. And I expect it will work. So Stardust gets the win here with a Dark Matter. I don't like the look of the move. I think he should just keep using Crossroads, but that's my opinion. They show Grumpy Cat watching the match, and she's, like, as I said, now it's just too much. She is pretty much asleep, apart from the odd, you know,
Just twitch of an
eye. Yeah. King. We knew it was going to happen, right? You got Grumpy Cat on the show. King is the king. Is the king of bad comedy. Sheamus has taken that crown away from him, and here he reclaimed it back by stating, "What does Grumpy Cat want for breakfast? Mice Krispies." Yeah.
It's the fact that I actually watched Raw before you this week, and I messaged you just going, King is terrible.
He's taken his crown back. He's taken it off of Sheamus for the bad comedy. He's climbed the top of the ladder again. You know, he's managed to reclaim his.
Is that a shit joke? That's mine.
Oh dear, Mice Krispies. That show will live in the annals of bad jokes forever. I'm glad, though, that at least the other 2 commentators didn't burst out in hysterics and slap their knees. At least they kind of looked at him like it was a bad joke. So there is at least that. Too many times as King busted out a bad joke, and they've looked like it's the funniest thing they've ever seen. They could barely breathe because they think it's so
themselves.
Funny. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Commentary talk about the network trying to sell it to people who don't know what pay-per-views are. I would.
I don't know, Ma.
Yeah, I would argue, and people can argue back at this for me as much as they like. I'd argue that the demographic the network need are their current fans first. Worry about people who don't know what pay-per-views are afterwards. You know, the reason why the network isn't a success is because you haven't been able to convince your TV watching audience that the network is worth a purchase or worth getting for free. So
That's it.
I would focus on them first. Maybe don't try and get fans and then hope that they'll stick. Make your programming better. Sell the stuff that's on the actual network rather than selling the network, and then
That's
I'd
it.
say that you get
We'll
it.
just make the network strong.
Yeah, when they air stuff like they're showing after Raw, which we can't watch obviously because we don't have the network, but still, them like a Macho Man special. That's the kind of stuff I want to see.
Like the
So,
ECW evening or whatever it was
yeah,
afterwards, which apparently Paul Heyman got in trouble for.
yeah. Apparently, stating CM Punk would be brilliant.
Stop saying CM Punk. Oh,
Yeah.
but CM Punk and Phil Brooks. Stop saying CM Punk. Don't refer to him, but CM Punk. I brought CM Punk.
Well, he's the advocate for the reigning, defending WWE champion. He can say whatever the hell he likes. It is
Yeah.
anyway, of course. But yeah, they told Heyman to do an ECW special to give his honest thoughts. He gave his honest thoughts.
Yeah.
I really don't think mentioning CM Punk on a network that at most a quarter of your fan base has. Let's say that all of the people that have the network are watching that, right?
Yeah.
Um, just mentioning CM Punk is not going to make people go, "Oh shit, that's really going to damage everything that we have to do here." Oh, it's not that bad, guys. Come on, you can't. Don't like. I agree with them for writing Benoit out of the history books. I do because what of the abysmal things he did.
Yeah.
CM Punk didn't kill his family. He just left the company. You don't have to erase him or even think about not talking about him again. Just
Paul Heyman mentioned CM Punk return imminent.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So yeah, here we go. So we had Grumpy Cat this week for guests. Grumpy Cat may be better, in fact, probably will be better than the person we're getting next week, which is Larry the Cable Guy. Who the fuck is this guy?
Cable guy.
No, it's not that Cable Guy. That would be entertaining.
Cable guy.
Red Knight going down, 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 down. No, who the fuck is Larry the Cable Guy?
I don't know.
Like I know we have like weird comedians over in this country. Like we have a guy who walks around with a shopping bag. That's part of his gimmick, shall we say? But he doesn't show up at anything that has 4 million people watching it. You know what I mean? Like, sorry,
International fan base.
Yeah.
So,
it's
but
like
who is T?
he's apparently going to be in a movie with Santino, if you remember, right? So obviously he's going to be on there to plug it. Probably have a segment with Santino, more than likely, right?
Yay! We can have Santino back for a night. I'm fine with that.
Remember, I think they're doing Jingle All the Way 2, aren't they? Larry the Cable Guy is one of the guys in it, right? Which kind of shows you what level of stardom he's at if he's starring in movies made by WWE and he's starring alongside Santino Marella. It kind of shows you roughly where he is.
I'm sorry, I still just got it stuck in my head. Cable guy!
Cable Guy!
I can't.
Or just, I'm rubbing the walnut now and it's like, that's your sweet spot right there.
Yeah, just like flicking around with the remote in my hands.
Anyone here, right, that hasn't seen Cable Guy, that's our homework. Go and rent, buy, probably really cheap,
If you
Cable
haven't
Guy with
seen
James
this,
Carey.
then it's shocking
It's
to know that.
It's fucking hilarious. It's brilliant. I love it. Cable Guy! Anyway. But yeah, it's like, when I look at it, right, and they've got Larry the Cable Guy next week, it will be bad, let's just say right now. But they've had, like, guys like Hugh Jackman, a legitimate star on their show.
Oh yeah,
Can they...
like Seth Green and all people like that who have genuinely like participated as well.
Yeah, it's just like, Did they literally, during that whole guest GM, star GM thing that they did for, the better part of a year, did they exhaust all of their, celebrity cards and now they're just randomly giving us random ones here and there? Just bollocks. But yeah, Larry the Cable Guy, guys. Yay! Finale of the night, contract signing for Survivor Series. This was a lengthy ass promo here. Well, segment, I'd say. It's not really a promo. Triple H starts off his regular stuff. He says, we need to win. There's no way we'll lose. And he looks all forlorn, and Steph reminds him, we will win, and all this lot. And then, we're reminded that apparently Cena doesn't even have a team, and they've been decimated.
Remember, like, you just watched it all night long. They've just been killed.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So Cena comes out. There's a brief backwards and forwards between Cena and the Authority. He goes out of the ring. Triple H acts as if he's asleep, which got memed, which I thought was quite funny. You know, the appropriate response to a
I
Cena
quite
promo.
liked that whole bit with Cena actually, when he's just going around. It's like these guys here, and priest man and pastor boy or whatever the hell it was.
I
Just
thought,
like two guys just dressed up in the front row. He's like, them.
but like as you said, he says like if he has to, he'll pick members of the crowd to kick the Authority's ass. The idea of Rusev using the accolade on one of Cena's like little fans.
That is a terrifying thought.
And at the same time, while he's locked in there, Cena's doing his usual thing of looking like he's on the brink of orgasm, trying to tag in. That's quite a comical visual to me. That's it. Looking like a beached whale, like screaming like a dying whale, just trying to get into the ring. Cena says that he'll beat the entire Authority on his own if he has to. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
It's Cena.
It's Cena, yeah.
It's Cena, and the odds are stacked against him. What's going to happen? Oh, what a shock.
There's a reason why he's called Super Cena, and you get reminded time and time again.
Yeah.
He continues to run his mouth. This apparently is enough for Stephanie to slap him across the face, which is enough for Cena to start a fight, apparently. He throws the table after no contracts were actually signed during this, so kind of...
Yeah, this match isn't actually going ahead.
Yeah, sorry, there is no main event. They didn't sign their contract, so...
That's it, they wasted a whole episode of Raw pushing nothing.
Yeah. And now all they got is Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose to close the show, and no one knows why they're fighting each other. But no, of course not. So... It looks like Cena's going to fight them all on his own. Ziggler comes down because, as I said before, continuity. It's not as if a curb stomp has kept anyone away from things before. Just a regular one on a mat, So he comes in, selling at least the fact that his neck's hurting. Big Show comes out, and as I said, no selling the opposed destruction they had before. But as I said, continuity. And then Erick Rowan, of all people, comes out to join Team Cena. I certainly didn't see that one coming.
No, that was the genuine shock.
That was a curveball, I have to admit. Considering, as we said, even on this show, he's been booked to look like a creepy perv. That's essentially what his gimmick's been. Oh, Renee Young, where is she? And, Grumpy Cat.
That teddy cat. I want it.
So why apparently he's suddenly annoyed that Harper, it looks like he wants to fight Harper for some reason. Obviously, maybe they'll do a turn. Rowan isn't really face, and maybe he helps Harper. Along those lines, there's definitely a possibility, but it just seems a bit random to me. But there we are.
Yeah.
At least it's something for the guy, and I have to admit, it's at least a little bit more interesting to have him in there than Sheamus. So
yeah,
there we are. And it looks like, and then Steph's like, you've got 4 people, fair enough, but it's just career suicide. She never seen Cena overcome any odds before, of course. So, and then Ryback comes down, the last member of John Cena, and then they just start.
No.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Cesaro comes out.
Yeah.
The join Cena, and then he's just basically there to prank them by going, "Oh yeah, I'm not really joining you," which I'd say Cena probably for the best, considering Cesaro could barely beat a paper bag at the moment. So
that's it.
That's the way he's been booked. Not that I agree with it, but come on, guys. The guy can't beat a stick, let alone. I'd even state that the way WWE booking him, he would have trouble beating himself off over Sunny on Skype. So. The segues, man. But Ryback, as I said, there is the last member of Team Cena, and they just start a brawl in the ring. I don't know why they didn't take a page out of the Nexus book. Do you remember that great visual they had of both the teams? This was leading into SummerSlam. It was a similar style match at SummerSlam. The elimination match, right? Where they had like a little bit of a shaky cam, looked like everyone's ready for them to get to fight. But here, Ryback just came into the ring and they just started fighting. I just thought it was a little bit.
Yeah.
You could have done something there, I know you've already done it before.
To build the suspense for it.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant when it had literally the Nexus and the other team, which was Team Cena, funny enough, or Team WWE as they called it. And they literally stared each other down, they looked like getting ready to fight each other. It was about a good 20 seconds that they didn't do anything for, but it felt like it was something special. The fans were getting into it, and finally then they attacked each other. I thought it was a really good visual, but decided not to do that. Triple H gets involved, fighting a few people, gets distracted by Ryback, and then Cena kind of takes the glory by attitude adjusting. Is that the way we say it? Attitude
Justin,
adjusting. Oh god,
there you go.
murdered that. Triple H through a table, and that ends the show with all of them, standing tall, going into the pay per view, and that's how the show ended. So
Yeah. Even though the moment that table was there, I was just like, someone's going through it.
Especially when it was like moved to the side, it wasn't thrown out. You didn't see the Big Show pick it up and chuck it out, which you'd expect maybe someone like him would do. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just left there, So there we are. All in all, I thought this show was okay, but I think, and it gave a lot of love to the main event, so at very least you can state it did that. And there's been worse go home shows. Just have to say that.
Yeah.
But it has done little to nothing to sell any of the matches around that, and it's going to lead to a very empty show, I'd state, at the pay per view.
It's going to feel that way.
Yeah, almost too much so. The fact that leading up to that main event. I mean, that main event probably will take about an hour, I'd say, to get through. 45 minutes, probably. At least.
Yeah, they'll give it time. They'll give it the time it needs, but
You've got 2 hours of stuff to get through at that point. I just don't think there's enough. I really don't. They'll put some stuff in. There's 5 matches technically on the show, and they will put more stuff in because 5 matches doesn't sustain that pay per view at all.
yeah,
Unless they decide, okay, we'll give all those 5 matches a really good amount of time and give us something special. And there's one match on that I don't want to have a lot of time on, which is the Divas Survivor Series match. So
yeah,
we'll go into that. But I think the biggest travesty they've done is that they haven't given any time to Ambrose and Wyatt to sell their rivalry. I'm not into it. I'm really not. I
yeah.
was expecting
It's terrible to admit it, isn't it?
I was expecting promo beatdowns between the two, but we got none of that. And hopefully we will get it. We just not get it. We just didn't get it this month. So I think it's a bad month for Wyatt and Ambrose, and for Wyatt making his big return. Man, he doesn't exactly come back with a huge bang. He hasn't come back, ending off shows or anything along those lines. He's pretty much been doing what he's always been doing. There's a much of a
That's
reboot.
it. Just halftime promo.
That's it, but hopefully they can do something here. And like I said, Ambrose and Wyatt is the second. It is the match, the undercard main event essentially, and they've just done absolutely nothing with it. It's a big shame. So we move into our predictions. Funny enough, we'll talk about that match. That's what we'll do now. We'll talk about our predictions for the show. We've got a few, like I said, we've got a few here. I might make a few references to matches I think that they might end up having. Like for instance, I do expect Kofi, Big E, and Xavier to have a match against someone, or maybe 2 of them will have a match, and other ones at ringside or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So if they do, obviously they're winning. They'll go over.
Yeah.
You would expect that. And there might be a few other matches here and there that they might add in, just placeholders and that sort of stuff. Maybe they'll have Adam Rose maybe in another match, and that'll be the final part where he finally destroys
fucking Fandango's in the open during the kickoff.
And they haven't announced who it's against either, so it can't be that special.
It's like Fandango in action with Rosa Mendez.
Yeah. Apparently she's his new dancer, and I think they're trying to get that over, aren't they? But
well, I get that. Just
it's not exactly exciting. I get you. So here we go. We go from what I'm not going to go from what I think that they'll open the match of and stuff like that. I think Wyatt and Ambrose probably won't open the match. It'll probably be the tag title Fatal 4-Way. I think that'll probably open up the show. But I'll just go from the list I made here. So Divas Championship title, AJ against Nikki Bella. I think Nikki Bella wins the title.
I'm going to say Nikki wins. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you've said us here before that the rule was apparently that they're not going to have any total divas win the belt. Well, 2 things going towards that, and I think that isn't relevant anymore. One being that Total Divas isn't currently on air. They finished their season, as far as I know.
Yeah. And I think the second one is the fact that it's like, well, there's currently no that many divas who aren't on Total Divas.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what my second point was. If they're going to carry on with this rule, there really isn't that much for them to go to. AJ's the best of what they've got, and AJ's been the champion for a while.
I'm trying to think who's not on Total Divas.
There isn't many of them, especially the ones featured. Emma, she's not featured, but it's not as if they're going to give Emma the title.
Layla.
Yeah, I'd give it a couple of
Tamina.
Yeah, but when have they been featured on TV? It's not as if they're.
What happened to Tamina?
I don't know. She had her phase, and they decided not to have her on TV.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. Because she's a good wrestler.
That's
Maybe not
it.
as attractive as the rest of them, but she's a good wrestler. But there we are. Um, so yeah, the reason why I think Nikki Bella wins is probably to have Brie Bella involved in it in some fashion. There's one thing that maybe she decides, oh, like almost like John Cena did. It's not worth her job by desecrating the sanctity of the belt. But then you had AJ attack Brie anyway, so it makes sense for Brie not really
Yeah,
to care that much about it. So yeah, I expect Nikki Bella to win, and then. Rumor is a lot of people are saying that AJ is due to leave the company soon. I've heard that she will be with it a little while longer, possibly for a rematch for the belt. But I don't think she'll be around in the company for a much longer time, honestly.
yeah. That's kind of where I was going with my decision.
Yeah. While her leaving doesn't rely on CM Punk, CM Punk not being there is definitely a factor in terms of how long she would stay there. She would definitely stay there a lot longer if CM Punk was still there. Obviously they're
Yeah,
married. They're a couple. They love each other. They want to be close to each other. AJ being half across the country working for a company that CM Punk just doesn't like. You know,
yeah.
I don't see AJ Lee signing any new contract or anything with them. I think she'll do a term like a professional, more so than her husband, and then she'll go and start a
Off
family,
into the
possibly.
sunset, and there we go.
Yeah, do that. Which I've got no problem with her doing. Like I said, she'll be a professional. She'll finish her contract.
That's it.
So yeah, I see Nikki Bella going over. I was quite surprised you think the same thing. So awesome.
No.
Divas Survivor Series match: Natalia, Alicia Fox, Naomi, and Emma against Paige, Cameron, Summer Rae, and Layla. I'm going to take a page out of your book and say, why would we give a shit?
I was going to say, you beat me to it, to who the fuck cares?
We have to make a prediction. My prediction's for a phase team win.
Yeah.
Are you under the same thing?
If the heel's gonna win the Divas match, faces are gonna win the regular match.
Yeah, that's it.
Who's in it? Who's the face team again?
Natalia, Alicia Fox, Naomi, and Emma. Are you going to change your opinion?
Nah.
No, you're still going to go with them. I'm just going with the face. Like I said, it doesn't really matter, really.
Yeah, just to name something.
Yeah. Tag title, Fatal 4-Way. I'm going to go...
Dust to retain.
Yeah, I'm going the exact same. The reason I think they'll retain... there is a slight possibility that maybe Miz and Mizdow do walk away with the belts, but I'm sticking with the chaps. And I think that Miz and Mizdow, they may end up maybe turning a little bit more face than usual, maybe more of a comedy. Mizdow being there does get fan responses, so you could play them against Stardust and Goldust, maybe going forward. But we'll see. I just don't see the champions losing here, but there we are. If they're going to lose it to anyone on there, it would be Miz and Mizdow. And they're not going to lose it to the Usos, and they won't lose it to Los Matadores. So.
I think if they were going to lose it, it would actually be within I was going to say an official match, but within a proper context.
I get what you mean.
Rather than just
a proper rivalry, not just a random.
Yeah, rather than just like a throw together. Oh, we're just going to have a tag team fatal 4-way. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Teddy Long was on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. He suggested it.
Holla, holla.
Holla, holla.
Maybe that's where Luke Harper got his thing from. I'm a team player. Well, yeah. Wyatt against Ambrose. Moving on to creepy stuff. Right. I believe this match will either end in a no contest or a disqualification. I don't think this will have a clean finish, and that is my prediction. I just don't think it'll have a clear winner.
Took the words out of my mouth. This one.
Yeah.
I totally agree,
and I think it's simply because of the fact that it's the beginning. It is the beginning of their rivalry. Really, this will lead into a couple of more matches they have on pay-per-views leading in, especially at TLC. They'll probably have a match there, and then obviously they'll probably meet face to face in the Royal Rumble, and then that'll probably be the end of their stuff there. But we know how WWE love their 3-match series stuff, so really the first 2 matches really don't matter. So
the only one thing is, I'm kind of hoping they actually have a good plan for these guys.
So am I, but from what we've seen, I'm not holding out my breath. That's my way of thinking with it. But it's the big match anyway. That that is a little bit more interesting to pick. Team Authority versus Team Cena. What's your prediction for this one?
The thing is, I think they fucked themselves by going, oh, and if Team Cena loses, everyone gets fired. It's like, oh.
Oh, did they say that?
Yeah.
Oh.
If Team Cena loses, everyone, bar Cena, gets fired.
Okay, well, I can tell you categorically now that this pretty much stamps the approval on what I thought it would be, which was Team Cena winning this match.
Yeah.
And they'll win it. And I do think that Rusev, I don't see him getting pinned. I see him either walking out or getting DQ'd.
Yep.
So there is that hope. There's been rumours running around rampant. Apparently, Sting will be making his first appearance on the show, and like the fanboy in me thinks, "Wow, he can become the new GM. You know, be awesome and everything like this." But that's kind of that still is a little bit of fantasy booking involved in there, and
No.
this could just be a rumor going around involving him being around. It does kind of make sense, maybe him being here, having a few months on TV, maybe get his full Hall of Fame induction, but we'll see.
But in a GM capacity, I can't see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see him have a match, and maybe he's a GM for a couple of months, and then he gets a match, possibly. But Sting as a GM doesn't have nearly as much punch to him coming in with the pretense, I want to kick someone's ass.
That's it.
It doesn't have the same appeal. But.
Do you know one thing I quite liked is I saw a picture, and it was I'd rather see this referring to Sting versus Bray Wyatt than to see this. Then they'd rather see Sting Bray Wyatt versus over Sting Undertaker.
And I would disagree. I still think that Sting Undertaker can do good business, but I can understand why people would say that.
Yeah.
But I still think that even without the streak, I don't think you need the streak to get a Sting Taker match. Like, yeah, it won't be a good match. We've been with this before with Sting. They're not going to have a great match between each other. They really aren't. Taker's had great matches because he is good and he's experienced and he knows what he needs to do. But he's had other people do a lot of work around him. Look at the likes of Shawn Michaels. And
he's had a lot of matches carried, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say carried because he's done his own stuff, right? He's been good in those matches, but you need someone else to do a lot of the athleticism and legwork in that match to bounce all around and do all this other stuff. So Sting ain't definitely going to be doing that for you, that's the bottom line. But I still think that just even the idea of Undertaker against Sting will sell tickets. I'm guaranteed it will.
Oh god, yeah.
But we'll see that. But anyway, into this match, I've made too many mistakes of betting against Cena on this podcast, and I'm not going to make that same mistake again this month. I'm betting on Cena winning the match.
Cool.
Look at it on the flip side. They've booked these guys as like they've managed to fight against the Authority under all odds, and Cena he's doing this for the common man, and Ryback as well, he's back to his best and all this lot. Imagine if they lose and all of them get pinned. What a damage to their momentum.
Oh, that's it. It's just like sudden Ryback push.
Yeah.
Lost.
You got to think like they're giving a push to Ryback, and also Cena is going to be wrestling for the belt soon. I would be very shocked.
Yeah. You've got your push and you've got momentum.
Yeah. That's our thoughts behind it anyway. And like I said, the only one person that makes it a little bit odd, Seth Rollins can take a loss. He's Money in the Bank winner anyway. He's fine. And he's been protected more than enough. He's fine. He can take one loss. Mark Henry, self-explanatory. Kane, self-explanatory. Luke Harper, he's just won a belt, so he's okay. But the one person that's wrong with that is Rusev. But hopefully, Lana says to him in the middle of the match, remember what they said? Let's fuck off.
Yeah.
Putin is not happy. We're not happy with their words. We're going to leave them high and dry. And then I'd be fine. Like, we could look at them and say, look, consistency. They know how it works. They obviously do. But we'll see from there anyway. But are you on the same thing?
Yeah.
Team Cena. Well, we got all the same.
I know. It's actually terrifying.
It doesn't happen often. But there we go. That's what we thought of it, and hopefully we get a clean sweep there. I think the only one that I think that maybe there's a chance of being different is maybe. I think they're all quite self-explanatory, but I think that maybe the tag title match, maybe they will go with Miz and Miz down considering the fan responses. But I don't see it happening. As you said,
the only other one that might go either way is going to be the Divas Survivor match. I basically just gave my choice because who the fuck cares?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. You know what, Matt? I'm going to make this a bit interesting. Predictions, just because we can't have all the same. There's no fun. I'll go for the heels to win, okay?
Okay.
In that match. So at least it makes it mildly interesting for myself.
Yeah. So just to know whether or not we've one-upped each other.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the show there, guys. We've given our predictions. Give us your predictions below. We'd love to see if any of you guys get it right as well. I know a few people have said that they think Team Cena's going to win as well. That's our thoughts along that as well. Leave any questions that you have in the comments or on our Twitter feed, which is at TalkWrestlePod. You can see it on the graphic up on the screen there. And we really appreciate all your support, guys. We're actually very close to hitting 150 subscribers. It'd be great if you could share. I know you guys have been really supportive, sharing it all around the place, and we're very appreciative of that, as we said there. And we hope you continue to support the show. We hope you did enjoy this episode. Next week, as we said, you will have a bonus episode, which is reviewing Survivor Series. We've done it every single pay-per-view, and I doubt Matt's going to let us do it now.
Nope.
You've dragged me under, what is it, sickness to do that before. So
it's going to be done.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. And then obviously we've got our awards next week, which is going to be looking over the year, not just of our year as a podcast, but 2014, as a whole, and we'll give our thoughts on
as a company,
match of the year, fail of the year, all this other stuff. Me and Matt will go through different award stuff and come with our own awards to give out and stuff like that. So. Thanks a lot, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Wraps up the show. We got anything else to add on to this show?
No, I think I'm about to go and spend $100 and go look at some sunny boobs.
Oh, wow. No, Matt, I'll tell you what you need. You need topless photos of Putin, mate. Fucking hell.
How would I... Oh.
Hot, man. Hot. You've got no...
That's the shit I need.
Yeah. Yeah. Shameless pay-per-view plot, guys. We're sinking down in there, so we'll leave you there with the thoughts of Putin's magnificent man breasts, and we'll catch you guys next week.
I'll see you soon.